Hi everyone, welcome back to Faith in Flour. I'm Robin, and in today's video, I am getting things done in our kitchen. The kitchen really is the center of our home. It's the heart of my homemaking. It's where we spend the most time. It's the most high traffic space and where I spend most of my time preparing meals and managing our food prep and food storage, all of that. So I really focused in on that this week. At least once a week or so, I like to make something with my sourdough starter. Lately, biscuits have been the favorite, and I shared that recipe in a previous video. I'll link that above. And I am just feeding my starter and making sure that everything is ready for the next batch of biscuits. I also spent time this week replenishing things in our pantry and transferring some things to better storage containers so that things stay fresh in there. I'm using half-gallon canning jars from Ball. I really love these. I had considered getting more of the La Parfait jars that I have in my collection. You'll see those later in the video. But these are more economical, and I can use the same plastic lids for all the wide mouth jars that I have. You can find all of my food storage containers, these jars, plus the plastic lids in my Amazon store, and the link for that is down in the description box. But I do want to caution you that I noticed on Amazon once COVID started that a lot of these glass containers really went up in price with certain sellers. So make sure you do your homework and check around because some of the prices are quite high and I wouldn't want you to overspend on these. They used to be quite reasonable and they can still be found if you're willing to spend a little time looking. I love storing everything in these glass jars. Glass is the safest food container, and I don't even need to label these because it's obvious what's inside each. And these great northern beans that wouldn't fit in the larger jar will have a place right front and center so that I will grab those next and use those up first. Because one of our sons needs to eat gluten-free, I have a lot of gluten-free baking items that I keep on hand, and I like to mix up my own gluten-free flour. My favorite flours come from Anthony's, and I order those right on Amazon. I've got those in the gluten-free section of my Amazon store, and I just got some more brown rice flour, so I'm going to go ahead and mix up this blend. The blend is a ratio of 2 parts brown rice flour, and I really like to get one that is extra finely ground. That's why I like this Anthony's. Mixed with 2/3 parts of potato starch, not potato flour, and 1/3 part of tapioca flour. And so I like to use a scale and then measure everything in grams. So this go round, I'm doing 300 grams of the brown rice flour, 100 grams of the potato starch, and 50 grams of the tapioca flour. If you've ever done any gluten-free baking, you'll know that it's a little bit tricky. It's not exactly the same as baking with regular wheat flour, but this blend is a pretty good cup-for-cup substitute in a lot of different recipes, and I'm gonna even show you one at the end of the video. So if you are looking for a really good cookie recipe, whether gluten-free or not, make sure you watch till the end of the video. Once all of the different flours are weighed, I just close the jar and give it a good shake to combine. These are the La Parfait jars that I mentioned earlier in the video. I really love these. These are such high quality glass storage containers. And because their lids are attached, they're wonderful, especially when you're mixing like this. They are very airtight. They are super. But of course, they are more expensive than the ball jars. So for now, I'll stick with what I have, and hopefully one day I'll be able to add to my collection of these. In the wintertime, when our house is cooler inside, it takes a little while longer for my sourdough to really get going with the fermentation. So I actually let this batch stay overnight, but in the morning it was time for me to measure out what I'm going to need for the biscuits and put the rest in the refrigerator to use as starter for next time. If you think you would like to try making a sourdough starter of your own, it's really simple, and I have a whole video that explains step by step how to do that. I will put a card above with a link to that video if you're interested. Also this week, I chose another area in our kitchen to reorganize to make it a little bit more functional and a little prettier. And it's this drawer underneath our microwave that has all of our sort of food storage bags and food wraps, that kind of thing. I picked up a few baskets from Target this week, and I also picked up a few extra supplies. I'd like to be able to keep all of these things together in that drawer. I used these same baskets in another drawer a while ago to organize, and it's been working so well. So I'm hoping that they are going to be the right solution for the drawer I'm working on today. In order to do this right, I've got to take everything out and clean the drawer before I start thinking about how I want to reorganize it. And this has been one of the really nice things about just taking one small area in our kitchen week by week, or just as I have time to do it. It's not overwhelming, it just takes a little bit of time, and just doing one space can be surprisingly satisfying. What's also surprising is when you have everything out of the drawer, it's hard to imagine how it all fit in there in the first place. So I'm feeling a little bit challenged as to how I'm going to make this work. One of the things I really like about these baskets from Target is that they're very deep, and that helps me take advantage of the deep drawer that I'm working with. So I'm hoping that it's going to hold quite a lot of the freezer type bags that I like to use. I like using the gallon size and the quart size, and that's mainly what I have. So I just got 2 baskets to contain all of those. And I think it's also going to look a lot nicer. It'll help get rid of all of this packaging, and I can fit several boxes worth in this container. And so I don't have a bunch of boxes stacked up in there. I think it's really going to be a better solution. It always takes me a little bit of time to figure out the best configuration. So my advice and what I do is just to try everything you can think of until you come up with a solution that you're really happy with. After finding the best spot for the tin foil and the parchment paper and the plastic wrap so that they're easily accessible and there's lots of space, I could use that third basket to put in the items that I use for vacuum sealing, and then on top of that I could put some extras. And this box of wax paper sheets fits perfectly on top, and those we use often in the microwave to keep things from splattering. Now everything fits really well in the drawer. It looks like I have so much more space. Things are more accessible, so I think it's going to be a lot more functional. Not only does it look a lot better to have all of the Ziploc bags in the Target baskets, but I think it's going to be a lot more functional, and I can get rid of all of these boxes that were just creating a messy jumble in the drawer. Later in the week, I found out that yet another one of my friends has come down with COVID, so that meant it was time to whip together a meal. This is a very simple recipe in my Instant Pot for some barbecued chicken thighs. And I'm just mixing together in the bottom of my Instant Pot a half a cup of water, a quarter cup of white vinegar, a quarter cup of brown sugar, and a tablespoon of chili powder. I just mix that up and then I layer the chicken on top of that. You need a lot of moisture when you are using a pressure cooker, and so instead of putting barbecue sauce in there, I am making it a little bit more liquidy but with all of the same flavors, and then I'm setting my Instant Pot for 10 minutes on pressure cook. When the cooking time is complete, I do a quick release of the pressure, and then I transfer all of the chicken thighs into the bowl of my stand mixer. This is a really quick way to shred up your chicken. And you do need to be careful that you don't do it for too long, otherwise you'll wind up with chicken paste. But after I have it shredded, I add the barbecue sauce, and I'm just using this Sweet Baby Ray's. You can use any that you like or homemade. This is just a fast way to get it done. When making chicken like this, there's no real recipe. I just basically throw together the barbecue sauce and the chicken until I feel like I have the right ratio. This time, because I had 2 large packages of chicken thighs, I wound up using almost the entire bottle of barbecue sauce. And now I'm taking the shredded barbecue chicken and putting it in a flour tortilla and rolling it up with a little bit of Colby Jack cheese. I really like using these sort of foil sandwich wraps because this way I can wrap them up individually, and when I take them to my friend, they can warm up as many or as little as they like, and if they have any left over, they can even freeze them or serve them again at lunchtime. This is something that my family really loves. I like making them for picnics. I'll make a really big batch and freeze them, and then we can just pull them out and heat them up whenever we like. So I basically will put them in the oven at 350 degrees until they are warmed through. And as you can see, everything's already cooked, so you don't have to worry about that. You just want to get them nice and hot so the cheese melts and they're so yummy. I got the idea for this recipe, which I modified a little bit, from another YouTube channel called Keep Your Daydream. That channel is about RV travel and living full-time in an RV, but she has some great recipe ideas, and this one we really enjoyed. It's easy to make these with any kind of tortillas, so I made a bunch for Peyton with gluten-free tortillas. That way I'll have some to stick in the freezer. He likes to take these for lunches sometimes, and it's great to have those on hand. And all of the ones that I'm taking over to my friend, I packaged up in a Ziploc bag that I labeled with instructions for how to heat them up. Then I whipped up a batch of coleslaw really fast. My recipe, if you can even call it a recipe, is very simple. It's one of those things that I never measure. I just kind of eyeball everything, so I'll try to explain as I go along what I'm doing. Most of the time when I make my coleslaw, I just use a knife to sort of thinly slice the cabbage into sort of a coarse shred. But today I got out the Cuisinart to make everything really fast. And also I think that when I do a finer shred like this, it marinates a little bit faster in the sauce that I make. Like I said, I don't measure anything, so I think I'm putting in somewhere around a half a cup of mayonnaise. To that, I add a few splashes of apple cider vinegar, probably around 2 to 3 tablespoons, and about the same amount of pickle relish. And lately, I have really been enjoying this salt-free vegetable seasoning from McCormick's. It's so good. I've been putting it in everything. So as you can see, I just give it a few shakes. And then I put in about a tablespoon of sugar. I also add some salt and pepper to taste, but that's it. I just whisk everything together, add the shredded cabbage, and mix thoroughly. Whenever I make a meal to take to a friend, I don't want them to have to worry about returning food containers to me. So I package it up in these BPA-free plastic containers. They are considered disposable, but you can use them several times. So she can either use them again for her family, or she can make a meal for someone else and pay it forward. To make this meal an extra special treat for her family, especially while they're in quarantine, I thought it would be really nice to make some cookies, and I know my family's going to appreciate it as well. I am making chocolate chip oatmeal cookies, which is one of my family's favorites. This is one of the recipes that I mentioned earlier that works really well with the gluten-free flour blend that I showed, or with regular wheat flour. And I am making it today with regular wheat flour because the family I'm providing it for doesn't need to eat gluten-free, but you can substitute cup for cup with the blend that I showed. I do follow a recipe for this, and I developed this recipe many years ago. I will put it down in the description box so that you can copy, cut, and paste it if you like. While making cookies today, I was watching The Home Edit on Netflix. Let me know down in the description box if you've been watching this too. It's actually been out for quite a while, but I haven't had time to watch it, and we're getting ready to give up our Netflix subscription, so I'm kind of trying to fit it in before that goes away. It's really been getting me in the mood to do a lot of decluttering and reorganizing. They're very motivational, and it's a super fun series to watch. Once the cookies were cool, it was time to get everything ready to go and make our delivery. Patrick came with me to do the grocery shopping for the cooking that I was doing today, and he suggested picking up a bouquet. I love that idea, and I think it's going to be the extra special touch to our care package that will hopefully brighten her day. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. I hope it gave you lots of homemaking motivation for getting some things done in your kitchen this week. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me here on Faith and Flour. If you haven't already, I want to invite you to subscribe. It's absolutely free and easy. All you have to do is click on my picture. I look forward to talking to you in the comments, so I'll see you there and in the next video. Have a great week.